People, welcome back to Politricks Watch. This is Sir P. Now, this is one of those videos where I'm going to need you to start hitting the like button from now, right? Because some of the information I'm going to drop in this video, you're not going to Google anything or hear anything on CVM, TVJ, Gleaner or Observer. The information I'm going to give you in this video literally took years to gather, meaning I would meet this person who was in this field and get some, then I'd meet this person who was alive at that time and get some, I'd meet this person who worked at the radio station, this person worked at the prison, this person was alive in TG. People, trust me, this is the longest video I've ever gathered information on. Even before I knew I was going to start a YouTube channel, I was gathering and trying to put together information on this case, on this story, right? Because it was fascinating to me the first time I came across it, and it just made no sense. And I've always wondered, what is the true background to this story? I'm talking about the story surrounding the death of Lester Lloyd Coke, aka Jim Brown, and in particular, especially for this video, why Tivoli people, some of them to this day, maintain that Jim Brown is actually alive but living in some foreign country. Again, people, I need you to hit the like button from now, right? Let's go into it. As you can see on your screen right now, Jim Brown, who's ever seen this infamous painting on the wall, right? Jim Brown, Dan of Dans, D-A-N of D-A-N-S, right? It's funny, but you know them thing like already. We all know inner city people don't get the greatest education available. As Junior Gang say, let's face it, get our education's basic, right? So we're gonna forgive them for this one. This was back in the day. Enough people never even go to school them time, right? But people, Jim Brown, Lester Lloyd Coke. Look at your screen right now, people. There is the infamous Lester Lloyd Coke, aka Jim Brown. Come on, bossy man. People catch the man walk. See, that's the walk you walk when you know you're deep into the system. That's the walk you walk when you know you have links. That's the walk you walk when you know, so even if you go to jail, right, somebody will pull a little string for you and you will see back road again. See, Jim Brown was very confident that he would have beat not just this case, but he would, even if he not beat the case, him now go suffer and dead at jail. He was very confident. You can see it upon him, right? That is the walk of a man who is convinced he's going to be the winner in this trial, right? But people, listen up now. You are familiar with the story. The official story was that Lester Lloyd Coke passed away in an accident in his cell in which him catch a fire and burn up, right? That is the official story. It was an accident, right? Now, let me go into why Tivoli people think, some Tivoli people think Jim Brown still alive. Then I'm going to give you some information surrounding the actual death of Jim Brown and some things that when people tell the story, they either purposely leave out, and by people I mean the media, where they either purposely leave out or they just don't know, right? So again, two things we're focusing on this video, people. Why garden people say Jim Brown alive, and the details. And again, of course, not every single detail, because no simple Simon, I wasn't there in the jail, right? But as close as putting things together as possibly can surrounding the actual death and what actually killed Lester Lloyd Coke. Let's talk about Tivoli people. People, brace yourself. When Tivoli people say Jim Brown is still alive, the reason for that is because there was a plan for Jim Brown to escape. I hope by now I sip on the tea and I go down on the Milo and them thing now, and Cersei and them bush there. Let me say that again. Tivoli people, right about, you have to ask old time garden people about this. No, you can't ask nobody who are like 21 and 22. You have to go try to find some old time people if you ask them the question. There was a plan for Jim Brown to escape. At least that's what certain people who were close to him in our West Kingston were told. See, the plan was Jim Brown was supposed to injure himself, right? Purposely injure himself. And then he was supposed to be taken to the Kingston Public Hospital. When he reached Kingston Public Hospital, there would have been a team waiting to ambush the car that was taking Jim Brown to public. They would then obviously kill them to kill, take Jim Brown, and then he would have been flown out of the country. That is what people in West Kingston, by people I mean the whole community, I'm talking people who were close to him, people who were in the circle, people who were making money with them, were informed. Jim Brown was going to escape. That is what they heard. That was the plan. There was a team waiting at public for Jim Brown. The day when Jim Brown passed away, right, the team at public were waiting and waiting. Him never come. See, some people inside garden who were already expecting the escape, when them hear upon the news, breaking news, Jim Brown dead, they started to laugh. They started to laugh because them know, so today was the day Jim Brown was supposed to escape. People, I'm talking about years of information, I'm talking to people, right? Years. Jim Brown was supposed to escape. Tivoli people were expecting to hear some little phony story upon the news, and then Jim Brown fly out of the country. So when the radio break the news, Lester Lloyd Coke is dead, Tivoli people start laugh because that was the plan. They thought, yeah man, Jim Brown gone. Jim Brown, the plan work, and Jim Brown fly out, the boss gone as some other country, gone lay low. See, but the team that was supposed to take him from Kingston Public Hospital and then carry him, go make him fly out, that team then pull up back and announce he didn't show up. He didn't show up. Of course he didn't show up. You know what happened to him, right? So now people were confused. Hold on. Did he fly out? Or is that really Jim Brown dead from fire? But the story about the fire in the cell was so extraordinary. It was so ridiculous. It was so cartoonish that a lot of people from Tivoli Gardens were convinced that was just some Mickey Mouse story to blind the public while Jim Brown escaped from Jamaica. That is why Tivoli Gardens, some people to this day will tell you Jim Brown is still alive in some other country. That is where the rumor started from. And the actual story about the escape actually made it on some radio stations. It was quickly silenced. It actually made it because you know things got ready, right? The walls have ears. Once one person knows that this got him, and the next person knows that got him. So the story again was changed and said, you know what? In the process of trying to escape, right, in terms of injuring himself and then going to public, he ended up having an accident and he lost his life from the accident. People don't even know that the story got changed 2 times, right? The first time it came out saying bun up, but them never give the story white bun up. But then when people were asking, but how this happened, right? And people know say Jim was supposed to escape and come link up with the man named down a public and fly out of the country. When that made it to the front page, and not front page like Glean and everything, but in the streets, and people start saying, but how that he was supposed to do this? Then the story became, well, in the process of trying to injure himself, he ended up burning up himself to death. That right there, people, is why some people to this day maintain Jim Brown is still alive. That's the origin of the story. As me say, you know, I will say this on an Observer, a Gleaner, on a TVJ, and a CVM. You can go do your own digging up and ask about the escape plot if you want, right? Now, people, let's go into the actual death of Jim Brown. Years it took me to make this video, even before I knew I was going to make videos. It's funny how life turned out. It turns out this was my calling years ago and I didn't even know it, right? Because there was something always bothering me. The investigative side, digging and speaking to people who, you know, somebody working a GP them time of year between this time of year. Yeah, alright, me talk to him now. Alright, you know, somebody with the people years of investigation. See, a lot of people don't know, but Jim Brown received special treatment in a prison. That might not be a surprise. But when I say special treatment, see, the word from people who were in GP with Jim Brown at the time was that Jim Brown did like painting and them look in there. So he was given paint and thinner and them look in there for them look painting inside the prison. See, it was that paint and thinner that they would say would cause the fire that would end up killing him. People, come on. See, the paint and the thinner, everybody knows that them thing they especially thinner and them thing they flammable. That was what them say Jim Brown in there play around with and catch a fire. Right. Then them say, oh well, he was trying to actually do the escape plan and leave, and then him light himself and get to the hand and kill him. People, understand this. People who worked in the water system and other prisoners, when the word broke that Jim Brown did, how them receive it was that Jim Brown got strangled. The original story in the prisons was not Jim Brown burned up to death. It was Jim Brown got strangled. People of Jamaica understand this right now. The cause of death of Lester Lloyd Cook was asphyxiation. He was suffocated. When the autopsy come back and people say, well, how Jim Brown forget suffocated or him die from asphyxiation, people start ask question. The story change again. Well, it was the smoke from the fire that suffocated him. That's what the story became. People, remember we're talking about a time where there was no Instagram and no YouTube and no social media, and even TV and radio was primitive. If that was to happen now, it couldn't go down like that. There'd be simply too many questions asked. Right, but back then, information was scarce, and where you could get information was scarce. But the people were asking the question. Right? How is it that Jim Brown died from suffocation? When they say him born up to death. Now people, now me I go into my theory, right? This is no longer the information we gathered over the years. This is my theory. Jim Brown was suffocated, strangled probably, and then burned. I'll tell you why. Think about this, people. The man is in a cell. What kind of fire can in a one cell that is only confined to one cell and no other prisoner or warder down a GP that get affected? Think about that. He's in a cell. You know how a prison cell look, right? He's in a one cell. And the film cell up on fire, and the smoke is so great that it suffocates him, and no other prisoner, no other cell, no other warder is affected. Have you ever seen a fire like that? Remind people, when fire broke out in a prison, the prison have to empty, Even the smallest fire in prison have to empty out. You have to empty out everybody and carry them going to the yard. Because obviously it is a very confined space. We're not talking about some big hell of a living room where everybody's separated from each other. You're talking about small cells chucked up between each other. Right? And Jim Brown cell, a big fire start, a fire big enough to produce so much smoke that is suffocating, and no other cell was affected. People, when I finish this video, Google the words Lester Cook body. Then you will see, it should take you to a YouTube video where you should see, or you will see, the actual body of Jim Brown upon the autopsy table. And you will see the fire damage done to Jim Brown body. That right there, you talk about some first degree and second degree. See, a lot of people in Jamaican public believe say Jim Brown was like burn up to the point where, when somebody burn up and them body get withered down to ash and you can't even recognize them anymore. People, go and search for the picture. The best one, most of the pictures online are blurred out, but the main one is a YouTube video. It should take you to a YouTube video where you can see Jim Brown's body. You will see his face is completely intact. And when you look on his body, you can see that there was something put on him, right, that was clearly very flammable and it clearly burned his skin. But this burn up to the point where him dead, ridiculous. What is far more likely, in my opinion, was that Jim Brown got strangled or suffocated either by hand or so, and wrapped something on his neck or whatever, right? and then them light him, just to carry off the burn up story, right? People, there is nothing in a jail cell that can burn, right, to the extent where one man and one cell suffocated it and nobody else on the block will suffocate or get caught up in this fire. Remember, people, when people ask the question, what happened to the other prisoners? Nothing. All of the other man them on the cell block, nothing happened to them. No smoke no bother them, no smoke no suffocate them, just one specific cell. See, Jim Brown was burnt, yes, his body. But the whole cell catch a fire thing, no. People, I think, even if he was given the tools, right, to maybe light a little fire and hurt himself, that could not lead to him catching a fire to the point where him smoke and him suffocate in a little cell. People, understand this. The setup, the real setup here was convincing people around and Jim Brown himself that he was going to be free. That was the real stroke of criminal genius. See, Jim Brown and the people in a garden and the team that wait for him, they were thinking, yes, something will go down, right? Jim Brown thought something will go down. But what he didn't know was that they had a bigger plan for him. And that plan was he was never going to make it to the GP alive. That's what he didn't see coming, right? As I said, I don't know how he would have injured himself. Probably, maybe even the same fire argument because, for example, think about these people. What am I doing with lighter? What am I doing with lighter matches? Come on, people, think about it. Even if you have thinner, we can catch a fire. You still need something to start that fire. Where it would have come from. But it was all a setup. It was a setup and Jim Brown didn't see it coming. Right? He didn't see it coming. He didn't know that was going to be used to cover up the real story. Because maybe if he didn't even have any clue, so something not going to reach him, he would have probably start talk from early. Jim Brown never started talk from early because he thinks that he never get let out. They were going to help him escape. No, because this was a high society hit. Right? This was an elite hit. The news and information surrounding Jim Brown's murder is astonishing, or the lack thereof of news and information. This is one of the most powerful dons Jamaica has ever seen. Definitely top 2 or 3, definitely without question. So you would think there'd be a great level of reporting and investigation from the media into what happened, but instead it's pure silence. There's virtually nothing out there online. A matter of fact, Jim Brown doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. Think about that, people. Jim Brown, one of the most powerful dons Jamaica has ever seen. This is somebody who not just big as Jamaica. People remember, Jim Brown and Vivian Blake. Listen, that's for another video. Don't worry, that video is coming. But when you talk about dons and international dons, Bulby and Zeeks and all them other man, Boban, Bunman, all of them man, a small time compared to the shower Posse. Small time. And enough of them man end up on Wikipedia page and all this information out there about them. Jim Brown, the man who was bigger than all of them. Him and Vivian Blake was bigger than all of them. And Vivian Blake, we can go read about him, but Jim Brown, there is nothing, not even on Wikipedia, about Jim Brown. Think about that, people. So most of the questions that were asked at the time were done on radio. So only the people who were around at the time, listening to the radio and checking out the few local radio station and whether asked the serious question, only those people remember some of the storylines and narratives that existed. Now, of course, the infamous saying from Tom Tavares Vincent when the news come out that Jim Brown passed away was that if you believe Jim Brown burned up in a fire in a jail, then you believe in the tooth theory. Right? So those of you who don't know, Tom Tavares Vincent was Jim Brown's lawyer, right? A long time. Tom Tavares had defended Badman, a long time, right? And he said, anybody who believes that official accident story believes in the tooth theory, and you can see why. It's ridiculous, right? It's absolutely ridiculous, right? So people, here you go. That's why I got always hear some people say, especially garden people, that's where it started, that Jim Brown is alive. And the story where people put out was a distraction for him to escape. That is why them think that, because Jim Brown was told he was going to be allowed to escape. And people in a garden, certain people in his circle, were told say he was going to escape. And when news come out, say this ridiculous story about fire go down, those people who never see him again in a garden, they were convinced that yes, him actually get away. Even though the team were supposed to meet him never see him, that's why him get away, because people did believe say Jim Brown did get burned up to complete where you can't even recognize him again. However, people, that's not the case. The autopsy report said it was Jim Brown, and if you look on the picture of Jim Brown on the table, you can still see clearly that that is Jim Brown. His face is completely intact, his body, everything. Enough people they believe say the burn up story was somebody else, and get somebody else, another fat man, and then just him get burned up so bad, right, where him basically turned to look at skeleton and ashes and nobody can identify him. That's not the case. Those burns on his body, people that are not, I don't even think them burns they can kill somebody, right, to be honest. And remember, Jim Brown actually had an open casket. Jim Brown had an open casket. There's a picture online of Jim Brown in a casket and him woman and him family around him a ball. Right, you can look for that picture as well. Right, but there you go, people. Again, years of talking to people who not only lived through it from the Tivoli side, but people who worked in the system when the whole Jim Brown thing went down, what they were talking about in the system amongst themselves. People, as me say, hit that like button. Whole heap of work going to this one. Whole heap of work. Right. Patreon squad, big up on yourself. Please like, comment, and share the video. Bless.